Yeah. Okay. So last session was all about demo class. We have come up with all the fundamental concepts of database. Today, we are going to see the introduction part of RDBMS, as well as we'll see the introduction and the topics that are made available in Oracle. Altogether, 3 topics we'll cover today. As I already said in the last session, that regarding this RDBMS, there are a lot of things to study, but not in the introduction part. All the things we cannot study in introduction part. Few things we'll study now that will give you some good idea on how and what is RDBMS, helpful for Oracle. So it's like relational database management systems. Fine. So let me save this as intro RDBMS. Yes. Now, as I said, no, there are a lot of things, but I just come up with highlighting 4 points, and that too only some 4th point also we just come up with its introduction, not in detail. 1. Remember one thing. RDBMS you expand as R plus DBMS. DBMS part you already know. Yesterday we discussed about it. The DBMS is collection of programs used to store, manage, and retrieve data. Yesterday we studied. Today we'll see what is R. Remember one thing. R technically it stands for something called R stands for referential, and it comes under integrity constraint. R stands for referential, the technical term that we use for it. Referential. What is referential? It is a part of integrity constraint. So regarding constraints, we have one separate topic in Oracle in my coming classes. Somewhere in the middle of Oracle, we come across with it. There we learn about primary key, foreign key, candidate key, unique key. These all things we learn. At that time, I'll get back to you what actually referential is all about. But as far as introduction is concerned, simple conclusion is referential is all about creating relationships between tables. Referential is for what? Creating relationships. Now question is, what types of relationships? Answer is 3. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. 3 types of relationships that you can create between your tables. What are they? One is called one-to-one. The other is called one-to-many. Third one is called many-to-many. On the whole, 3 relationships. One-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. And in that, especially these two, that is one-to-one and one-to-many, these two, we have for direct implementation. Direct implementation, many to many, no RDBMS supports. Still you have indirect implementation. Indirect implementation. Yes. Yeah, indirect implementation. This is one overview part of RDBMS. Now we'll talk about its history and what it is. Okay. Second part you can say. RDBMS was introduced in the year 1970 by Dr. E. F. Cord. By Dr. E. F. Cord. He is the one who introduced RDBMS. And what he has done is he has outlined and has outlined 12 rules called Cord's rules. And then he mentioned one point. What is it? Among these 12 rules, any database software satisfies standard 8 or 8.5 rules, 8 or 8.5 rules, then it is called pure RDBMS. This is the a boundary that has been set to consider a software as your pure RDBMS. Okay, what is it? How many rules it should satisfy? 8 or 8.5. Then only it can be called as pure RDBMS. Now, if you start comparing, Oracle satisfies 11.5 COTS rule, more than 8 only. So it is pure RDBMS. SQL Server, which is Microsoft product, yes, it also satisfies 10 COTS rules. More than it is also pure RDBMS. And all the softwares like DB2, Sybase, Teradata, MySQL, they all come under category of what? Pure RDBMS. Third rule. And the rule is RDBMS always presents data in two-dimensional format. That is rows and columns. That refers to table. This is speciality of RDBMS. Okay, this is speciality of all RDBMS based softwares will present data in two-dimensional format. That is fixed format. No one can alter it. It's fixed. Always it presents data in table format. But we have a small rule. This terminologies are there, na? Row, column, table. It differs from one software to other software. Like, especially columns are there. In some RDBMS, they are called fields. In some RDBMS, they are called attributes. In Oracle, columns are called identifiers. Exactly same way, rows, some softwares they are called records. In some softwares they are called tuples. Same way, table, in some RDBMS it is called object, or in some RDBMS they are called entity, In some RDBMS, it is called relation. This is one more part. What do you learn? This is the presentation of data in what rows and columns. Fixed format. Already I said you. Fixed format. Okay. Exactly. Same way. The fourth and the most important point, as I said, I'll just come up with its introduction now. RDBMS always represents data in normalized way, which will indirectly lead to normalization. And in that we have different ways of normalizing a table. So what is normalization? We doesn't know. Why do we need? We doesn't know. What are the rules that you have to go through it? We doesn't know. Nothing. These all things we study in the middle of Oracle, not now. Okay. And what do you say? Like a table can be normalized in different ways called normal forms. In different ways called what? Normal forms. What are they? These are the terms we use. What is it? First normal form. Direct numbers I'll write. 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, BCNF, 4NF, 5NF. These are your different normal forms. So since we don't know what is normalization, obviously we don't know these all normal forms. Probably in my coming classes, some in the middle of Oracle, we'll discuss about it. Oh, now instead of making all the introduction things in the initial stages of Oracle and getting confused, this would be best. I feel like you just make out things that these are the four important points that could even give you a very good support in understanding the importance of RDBMS. Before I further go, let me make you one simple process to understand what is it. See, for example, this is your database. Okay, this is your database. Yesterday we described, database is logical container which contains something called related objects. Yeah, this is your yeah. Let me write here. This is my database that I call DB. It's container. Now remember, now in other part, this is RDBMS. This is RDBMS. What is it? Here, RDBMS. These all are softwares in Oracle, MySQL, Sybase, DB2, SQL Server, Teradata. Yes, these all are what they are all? RDBMS softwares. They all come under RDBMS softwares. Now, simple conclusion is if this database is created in Oracle, so it is Oracle database. If this database is created in MySQL database. If this is created in Sybase, then Sybase. If this is database created in SQL Server database. Means what is different now? What is different? Every RDBMS can have its own database. I'm not saying like you create one database and all will access. No, I'm saying rather that every database software can have its own database, its own. So I would like to conclude this picture with one small comparative example. Assume database is like your mobile. This database, it is like your mobile handset. Okay. Now these all softwares are there, na? RDBMS based software. They all are like service providers. They all are like what? Service providers. Comparison, I'm saying. One is like Airtel, one is like Vodafone, one is like Geo, one is like like Idea. I'm saying like just name something. So they are like what? Service providers. Service providers. Now point is, as I said just now, that every RDBMS can have its own database. Its own database. Yes. Now, simple question, the last one here. The question is, like I compared all these RDBMS as what? Service providers. Okay. Now, listen to me carefully. If I want to use Airtel services in my mobile, that is database. In our example, database is mobile as a handset. So if I want to use Airtel services in my mobile, what my mobile should contain? Fast, reply fast, please. What my mobile should contain if I want to use Airtel services? What it should contain? Or if I want to use Vodafone services, then what my mobile should contain? Simple, simple to even analyze and understand that you need SIM card of that provider. Yeah, you need SIM card. Whichever service provider you are using, you require to have SIM card. Now imagine if I use if I use services of Vodafone in my mobile, does it mean that all should use same SIM card? No, not necessary. So I felt comfortable, I felt advantageous, I felt for my personal use Vodafone best. So I used Vodafone SIM. So my handset now is having services of Vodafone. But it doesn't mean that my mobile can have only services of what? Only services of what? Vodafone. Rather, the slot, the slot where you insert a SIM card in your mobile, it is designed in such a way that it can have a SIM card of any service provider. It can have a SIM card of any service provider. It is designed in that way. So now my point is, between a service provider and a mobile, a SIM card is important for communication. Exactly for all these RDBMS to communicate with the respective databases, they require one common language. So SIM replacement is SQL. Yes. Now SQL, Oracle communicates to database with SQL. MySQL communicates with its database using SQL. Sybase communicates database with SQL. DB2 communicates with its database using SQL. SQL Server communicates to database with SQL. Means what is common? What is common? SQL is common. This is what I was saying yesterday. This is what I was saying. Interviews, especially in interviews and all, they ask, do you have knowledge in SQL? Do you have knowledge in SQL? Do you have knowledge of SQL? Yes. Answer is yes. Now company says, now interviewer will ask, in which subject you implemented SQL? In which subject you have learned SQL? Your answer, Oracle. Now interviewer says, but we don't use Oracle. See how the questions have come, like, do you have knowledge of SQL? Answer was yes. Then second question, in which RDBMS you have learned SQL? Answer is Oracle. Now they are asking, now interviewer will say, but in our company we don't use Oracle. Rather we use MySQL, or rather we use SQL Server. You do not panic at that point. Let them use any software. SQL, thorough implementation of SQL in Oracle. Same SQL with minor changes in the syntax you can use in all the other RDBMS. Let them. Even if interviewer says we don't use Oracle, rather we use SQL Server, you say yes, let it be. Let it be. SQL, na? SQL. Same SQL is available for SQL Server. But what difference? Minor changes in the syntax. Not major, minor. Hardly, if you dedicate yourself, you can wind up learning SQL Server, SQL part in SQL Server only in few hours, because you already dedicated learning SQL in Oracle. Same thing, you implement in SQL Server. Obviously, softwares are different, companies are different, products are different, language is same, slight difference. They want to highlight their product. Microsoft want to highlight its product, Oracle Corporation want to highlight its own product. So it depends, like whichever you feel convenient, that particular software you can use. Okay. Yes, Rahul, is this clear for you? Yesterday there was a confusion for you on what is Oracle, what is MySQL, which one to learn. This is the story you have for all that. Answers to yesterday's query. Balachandra, did you understand this? Sumanjali, Dilip, Srinivasulu, everyone in the batch, please. All are comfortable. Did you understand all this stuff? That's fine. Okay. 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 Fine. Now we will go with straight away introduction to Oracle. Yes. Intro ORC. Okay. Listen to me carefully, please. Here. Okay. So now, coming to this introduction, I just make all the important points of this Oracle, because few things are there that you cannot study at this stage. You require to wait till I start my practicals on Oracle. When I start my practicals, at that time I'll correlate and make you understand. Okay, no big. Yeah. Actually, Java, through Java, you can use database. Yes, you can. And it's not like Java uses only Oracle. Java can, through Java, you can communicate to any database software. Yes, you can create a communication from Java to any software, from .NET to any software, from Python to any database software? Yes, answer is yes. No, need not write, Sumanjali. I'll share those files with you. Need not write. Need not write. I'll share those files with you. Okay. Now, that is what I was checking in this application. Do we have any way where I can share these files? So if at all I find any way, then I'll share those files with you. Okay. If not, I'll send to your email IDs. Need not worry about it. We'll definitely will share. Okay. Now, coming to this introduction, first thing I write is about Oracle is a product of Oracle Corporation, introduced in the year 1977 as Oracle 1.0 version. Yes, this is one part. Oracle 1.0 version, first version of Oracle that was introduced in 1977. But make this point clear as well. What is it? What is the point? See, when 1977 they introduced Oracle, it could not become that popular. It could not leave its recognition in market. People didn't find that good importance of Oracle. People didn't find that flexibility in working with Oracle. So immediately Oracle Corporation started working on it since it could not, people didn't find much best use of Oracle. So immediately Oracle Corporation started working on it. And remember, in 1979, Oracle 2.0 was released and it became the first commercial relational database, or you call first SQL database. That is the reason some authors, some websites, they don't talk about 1977. They straight away highlight 1979. 1979 because it got its recognition in market in 1979. People started identifying Oracle. People felt the best way of working with Oracle from 1979. That's the reason in few things they don't even consider 1977 concept. But even though it got highlighted in 1979, but its history says that it was from 1977 Oracle has been started. And then we learn that Oracle is used as backend. Oracle is always used as what? Backend. So these two things are there actually. Front end, back end. Front end, that which is visible. Back end, that which will do some actions, that will do some process, but it is not visible. Which is not visible. You understand? That is what you mean, back end. Front end is straight away visible. Back end is what? That's what I'm saying. Does some actions, does some process, but not directly visible, but not directly available. Then fourth rule we have. Initial versions of Oracle was RDBMS. Initial versions of Oracle were what? RDBMS. Especially, there is one specific version in Oracle they call Oracle 9i. Sorry, Oracle 8i. From Oracle 8i, and after that, whatever later versions we have come up, later versions, they all are ORDBMS. Yes. What are initial versions of Oracle? They were all RDBMS. And from Oracle, which version? 8i, a drastic, a major breakthrough in database technology that was introduced with object-oriented features in database. Object-oriented features. Like what? Generally, this is all you can understand if you have knowledge on OOPS, object-oriented programming. You can easily make out here. OOPS is like dependent on class and object. We have something called constructors. We have something called method overloading. These all things are available in even Oracle also. Even in Oracle. A part of what I'm saying, ORDBMS. There is something called in object oriented programming, there is something called collections. Java has collections, Python has collections, .NET has collections. Now I can add Oracle also has collections. Approach may be different, logic may be different, but we have. So initial versions of Oracle were all RDBMS. From which version they have become? 8i. And all later versions I'm saying. They all are what now? ORDBMS, Object Relational Database Management System. And one more important point that we find is Oracle is client server technology. Oracle is what you call client server technology. Right? And then another point that we learn is Oracle can be installed on any OS. Obviously, on any OS in the sense you can install Oracle on Windows, you can install Oracle on Linux, you can install Oracle on Unix, you can install Oracle on Mac, any operating system, you can install your Oracle. Depending on your OS, relevant Oracle software has to be downloaded. Yeah, fifth point, client server technology. So now what exactly client server technology is? That in real time, Oracle software is always made available with client server technology. It means they will make one system that would act as server and they install Oracle in it. And from all the other systems, those are called clients, people start communicating with server and then Oracle software and database. And in real time, Oracle is always installed on Linux operating system. Server of Oracle is always, Oracle software is always installed on Linux server. And all the other people who are working on Oracle, they become clients and they communicate to Oracle server and whatever database objects that are available in it. Hope answer to your query, Rahul. But as of now, if you talk about my machine, my system, that's the class which is going in my personal laptop here. Even I have Oracle, but the Oracle software what I have in my machine, obviously it is I have single machine. I don't have Linux. I don't have clients. I have single system in which I have installed Oracle. So obviously for my system, for my machine, you can say that that this itself is client for me, this itself is server, like because I have Oracle software installed in my machine, so it is client and server both for me now. But in real time, no, it's not like that. Server is on one machine, client will be from another machine, will communicate to server to access database and its objects. Now going further on the seventh point, what we learn is initially Oracle was CUI. character user interface initially. And again, there was a major breakthrough in Oracle database technology. Major breakthrough. From when? From Oracle. There is one specific version called 11G, and then all later versions. It has become GUI, graphical user interface. Yes. Oracle has become little user friendly from 11G. Then before 11G, yeah, before 11G, it was not user friendly. It was not user friendly. Things were elaborative to type. Things were elaborative to it was elaborative to remember and to go with syntaxes. Everything like manual. But even in that scenario also, we used to have a support of third-party tools. We used to have a support of third-party tools. So at that, with the support of third-party tools, we used to make Oracle work as user-friendly. But they were dependent on third-party tools. So some other company developed the tool. But now what Oracle Corporation has done, why to make people depend on third-party? Why don't they develop their own personal GUI? So from then, what Oracle Corporation has done, from a version called 11G, right? They introduced their own GUI environment, GUI tool from where you can start communicating with Oracle in a user-friendly manner. And one more important point that I would highlight here is Oracle is provided with database engine. Yes. Oracle is provided with what? Database engine. And how do you expand this? Yes. Oracle is expanded as, remember one thing, the last alphabet in Oracle, E is there, no? It stands for engine only. E stands for engine. And L means it is logical engine. Oracle, LE, it is logical engine. Not only it is logical engine, it even supports you to perform arithmetic calculations. ACLE, arithmetic calculations, logical engine. And remember, this Oracle has been introduced in a place, in a department. We got different explanations given to it. Few call them as department, few call them as like a group. They called it as like, name given to your software when it was in development. Different expansions we have. So what OR stands for? OR is Oak Ridge, arithmetic calculations logical engine. Arithmetic, also called analytical calculations, also called computing logical engine. That is how Oracle stands for. Hope answer to your query. Rahul, everyone understood? This is the introduction point of what? Oracle. Now, very fast, I'm not going to discuss all the things. I just make a list here. Versions of Oracle. Only for reference point of view. Versions. Yeah, CUI, character user interface. It was all about typing. There is no user friendly support. Everything we used to type. But now, because of this GUI, graphical user interface, you don't need to type. Rather, you have drag and drop process. drag and drop, you're done with your retrieval of data. You want to insert data, you'll get one ready-made screen where you can directly insert data. You don't need to write commands, you don't need to write queries. CUI is all about typing, where we don't have any user-friendly environment, whereas GUI is all about user-friendly support, user-friendly environment. Yeah. Now versions of Oracle, very fast, I just list here. 1977, Oracle 1.0 was introduced. After that, 1979, I said, Oracle 2.0 was introduced. Then 1983, then they have introduced Oracle 3.0. Then 1984, they have introduced Oracle 4.0. 1985, they have introduced Oracle 5.0. Then 1988, they have introduced Oracle 6.0. Then 1992, they have introduced Oracle 7.0. Then 1997, they have introduced Oracle 8.0. Okay, then 1999, yeah, from here they introduced 8i internet related features they introduced here. Then from 2000, in 2000, they have introduced Oracle 9i release 1. Then 2001, Oracle 9i release 2 was introduced. Then after that, what we notice is 2001, it was in 3. 2003, they introduced Oracle 10G release 1. Then in 2005, they have introduced Oracle 10G release 2. Then 2007, they have introduced Oracle 11G release 1. Then 2009, they have come up with Oracle 11G release 2. Then 2013, they have come up with Oracle 12C release 1. Then in 2016, they have introduced Oracle 12C release 2. Then in 2018, they have come up with Oracle 18C. Then in 2019, they have come up with Oracle 19C. Yeah, these are the different versions. Now for your reference, let me elaborate what actually these all are. I is about internet related features are introduced. And here G indicates grid computing technology. And third one, that is C. Yeah, C is cloud computing technology. Now you know something that as far as my experience is concerned to Oracle, what I personally have noticed, since even I take up Oracle DBX sessions like database administration classes. So keeping that point in view, for a database administrator should have a very clear knowledge on how these internet related features are enabled and how we make use of it. Grid computing, what it is, and how does it make your database available in that technology. and what is cloud computing. As a developer, you don't need to know all that stuff. You just know what is I, what is G, and what is C. That is enough. You understand? Okay. And finally, I conclude with one point. What is it? Especially here, Oracle 1.0 to 7.0. They all are pure RDBMS. And again, from Oracle 8.0 till 19C, they all are pure ORDBMS. And what is ORDBMS? Just now I expanded that it is RDBMS plus object oriented features. Yes, this is the story on your different things that which are related with the Oracle. Is everyone understood what this is all about? Okay. Okay. Rahul, do you have any questions? Dilip, are you there? Yeah. 19C, yes. We can make our database available for cloud database. Yeah, grid computing technology has a different architecture. Cloud database has different architecture. And many new features Oracle Corporation added because of this cloud, because of this grid computing. Many new features they introduced, but they all will be helpful for database administrator because he is the one who takes care of server. He is the one who maintains the server. Yeah, different syllabus. Yes, Rahul. Completely different syllabus, 100%. Here you learn about objects. There you learn about a different of there no one will teach you how to create tables, how to work with procedures. Coding part will not be there. This a different approach in maintenance. You have different tools to maintain server. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Dilip. R is release one, release two. Shortcut I mentioned. Release one, release two. And for your reference, I'm saying not necessary. It's only to just give you some idea. I'm saying this. You know, even for interview point of view, because you asked me about release, I'm just saying that so that it could make you easy for even for interview point of view. Interviews may you should be little cautious. This question mostly they ask Oracle mm, version not needed, not needed. No, you be confident on Oracle. Let them use anything because, however, that Oracle software in IT companies they install on Linux, on Linux, and you are developer. So obviously you don't have interaction you don't have communication, you don't have any access. I mean, you cannot work on server. Server will be handled only by database administrator. He is the one who is completely responsible to communicate with the or to access what server or to use what server. So no, not needed. You can, as a client, you can have Windows. On Windows, they'll install the tool from where you start communicating with the server and database objects available in it. So you don't need to know. Okay, Rahul? Not at all. Not. I didn't say that you need to know that. No, not at all. Not required at all. Okay. Anyways, now we go with these two things, and with that we'll wind up the class. Difference of these two: Oracle version and release. Better I use Oracle database version and release. And interviews, especially when they use a word version, if they use a word version, which version of Oracle you have learned, and if they ask which Oracle release you have learned. So if they ask version of Oracle, then you answer. Then you answer. Which are, I'm just giving an example. Oracle 12C. Example. Release 1. This is version you can call. Which version of Oracle we learned? Oracle 12C release 1. If it is 19C, Oracle 19C. If they ask on which release of Oracle you have practiced, or which release, on which Oracle release you are familiar with, then answer. Then answer for that. 12.1.0.1.0. This is the release number. Instead of writing this big number, I said in shortcut R1, R2, R1, R2. That way I compared. Every time I can't put this big number there. So in short, I mentioned it as release. Which release of Oracle you practiced? 12.1. Which version of Oracle you learned? Which version of Oracle you have learned? Then Oracle 12C release 1. And you know one thing, I'm not writing all that stuff because it's not needed. But I'm saying every digit in the release has its significance. Every digit in the release number has its own significance. Its own significance. Okay, is everything clear? Now coming to another part. This is also for knowledge only, I'm saying, because however, yeah, if release 2 means what is the number? 12.2.0.1.0. 12.2, yeah, 12.1.0 release 1. If it is release 2, 12.2. Balachandra, did you understand what is it clear? Yeah, Rahul. 12.1.0.1.0. That is what I was saying, na? Like every digit in this release number has got its own specific reason, specific explanation. Yeah. 12 you call major Oracle platform number. 1 is called database maintenance release number. 0 is called application server release number. Again, 1 is called component specific release number. Again, 0 is called platform specific release number. Do you understand? That 010 is 010. First 0 is what you call application server release number. Again, 1 is the component specific release number. Again, 0 is the platform specific release number. Okay, Rahul? And one more small topic. This is also administrator will have knowledge on this. That is called editions of Oracle. Editions of Oracle. So what editions? So from one edition to other edition, some major differences will be there. We don't need to know all that stuff, but I'm saying you this. One is called Oracle Database Standard Edition. Yes. Oracle Database Standard Edition. Second, Oracle Database Standard Edition 1. Oracle Database Standard Edition 2. 4. Oracle Database Enterprise Edition. 5. Oracle Database Express Edition. This is free and you call it as Oracle XE, Express Edition. 6th, we have again Oracle Database Personal Edition, that is called Oracle P, Personal Edition. Yes, these are all. And every edition has got some features added, some features are available, some features are not available. So not needed, just remember. However, we are going to use Enterprise Edition for our practicals. We are going to use Enterprise Edition for our practical. That's it. Is everything clear? You have still any questions? Everyone. Oh, that's fine, Balaji. Yeah, Ram. Yeah. Yes. Enterprise edition, not that specific one. Don't talk about any specific version. Enterprise edition of Oracle supports or includes full software. All features are included in it. Everything is available in it. Okay? Everything. Yeah. 100%. Every IT company where we use Oracle, they go with Enterprise edition. Yes. Okay, then. See you tomorrow. We'll continue with remaining topics of this Oracle. So you not worry about notes here. I'm there. I'll take care of. You need not worry about anything which I'm drawing, whichever I'm writing in my PNG files. I'll share them with you. You can have those notes for your reference, including videos. Whatever, every session, yesterday's session, today's session, they all are in recording. So once, probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow, or whichever feasible time, I'll just collect your all IDs and then I'll send the software link. You can download it from your Google Drive, which I'll share with you, as well as these all PNG files, videos also, so that you can have them for your reference purpose as well. Okay, everyone. Okay, bye. See you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Okay, bye. See you tomorrow. Bye, Sumanjali. Bye. See you tomorrow.